Once upon a time, in the kingdom of Agba, there was a wise and benevolent king named James. He ruled with fairness and kindness alongside his beloved wife, Queen Jessica. But despite his love and dedication to their people, he faced one big challenge. He had only one child, a daughter named Princess Amanda, whom he cherished more than anything in the world, because it had taken his wife Queen Jessica 8 whole years to give birth to a child because of a strange sickness she had. And now that his daughter and only child was here, he feared that she wouldn't be able to grow up and live a long life with the current challenges that their kingdom faced. You see, in the past, the kingdom of Agba was prosperous and peaceful, but in recent years, it suddenly began facing constant attacks from neighboring kingdoms and dark forces. This was around the time that his only daughter Amanda was born. Now initially, King James was able to repel these savage attacks with his royal forces, but the attacks were persistent, and with each attack, more and more of his soldiers fell and his military strength dwindled. Not only that, but with each attack, the resources of the kingdom also kept diminishing, because the attacking kingdoms would always take a huge portion of their foodstuffs and livestock as spoils from their raids. In fact, it was even by pure luck that King James escaped the clutches of his enemies' attacks each time they came, because he would always get revelations from the gods in his dreams of when the attackers were coming, and hide that night in a safe bunker with his wife and only daughter to protect them. And while he did this, the rest of his kingdom would get attacked, the women defiled, some taken as slaves, and innocent subjects slaughtered brutally. As a result of this, his people slowly grew to hate him, calling him a coward and a weak king. There were days he would pass the village square with his royal chariot only to be greeted by angry villagers who threw stones at him in anger. Women who had lost their children to these attacks would shout at him as he passed them, calling him a devil and screaming for him to relinquish the throne, as he had failed to carry out his most important responsibility as king, protecting his people. When King James would hear these cries from his people, he would burst out in tears because he knew all they said about him was true. But what could he do? He had to find a way to protect his kingdom at any cost so that he wouldn't lose his throne, his family, and his people. The pressure from the villagers kept building every day. Protests were always held around the royal palace calling for his resignation. It was as if King James wasn't allowed to breathe with the amount of pressure that was mounted on him. The only joy in the king's life was his only daughter Amanda, and he feared that the way things were going, he might soon need to protect his daughter from his people and not even the attackers. Day by day, the burden of saving his king weighed heavily on his heart, and he often found solace in patrolling the palace gardens at night, to wallow in his self-pity and think about how much of a failure he was as a king as opposed to his father, King Peter III. One fateful night, as he was walking around the palace gardens, in deep thought, a dark figure emerged from the shadows behind him. It was a demon, with eyes that glowed like embers of a great fire, a hideous and scarred body, and a voice that echoed with sinister promises. "King James," the demon hissed, "I can offer you the safety and peace you desire for your kingdom. No enemy shall dare to attack you ever again, and your people will live in harmony." Immediately King James heard this. He stuttered in trembling fear. Who was that? What was this? He wondered. His brain didn't want to believe what his ears were hearing. But in that moment, he turned back, and there it was, a tall demon clothed in mystical attire with a disfigured head with horns and a maligned body. "Demon!" King James shouted. "Ha ha!" The demon laughed evilly, its scary laughter echoing around them. It then replied in a sarcastic voice, "Yes, great king. I am in fact a demon, nevertheless you don't need to state the obvious." Then King James replied in a trembling voice, his wide eyes revealing the fear within. "Who are you?" he asked. "Did you come to carry out the villagers' wishes and kill me?" The demon then responded, "Ha ha." It threw its head back and laughed. "No, King James, not today at least," he sneered, and then placed his right hand on his chest. "My name is Atragan the Terrible, Prince Atragan the Terrible, the son of Bor, king of the demons of the Nile. And believe it or not, great king, I stand before you, bearing good news. What good can ever come of your kind? King James asked, a little bolder, now that the demon had assured him that his life was not at stake. Touché, the demon replied in mock sadness, placing its hand on its chest again. You forget, O great and powerful king, that there is only a problem when your kind fails to keep their end of the bargain. Besides, we both know that you and your mighty forces desperately need my help, and here I am to offer you that salvation. Etrigan completed, with a mock bow. The sarcasm and disrespect in its voice was infuriating to King James. Wrong, he declared with a newfound courage. The last thing my people need is help from your kind. Now, begone from me, you spawn of the devil. There is no need to get too excited, my dear king, Etrigan pressed. Now what I meant is that I can offer you an army, one that would match any enemy that faces you in war, an army that would win any of those encounters. Etrigan further stated. Then King James responded, and what is the worth of an army full of non-men? You couldn't even appear to me in the day. You only show yourself here at night when we are alone and there are no other eyes to see us. How I'm sure this army you speak of aren't as cowardly as you, more or less as strong as you just made claim they are. The king said boldly with a doubtful demeanor. Etrigan then responded in a carefree but authoritative tone. Oh, no, my king, don't mistake my discretion as weakness. I came here in the night when no eyes see us because I thought you might prefer our little conversation to be done in private. And for the strength of my demon army I just bolstered, well now, I guess seeing is believing. If you may, please take a look, my king, Etrigan said, placing an arm on King James' shoulder and turning him to face the courtyard. Then Etrigan slowly swiped his arm from left to right, and the landscape in front of them changed. Now King James could see a terrible army, set in battle array, before him, stretched out for as far as the land went. With this army, O great king, you will not only protect your kingdom and your people, but you will be untouchable forever, and powerful enough to take revenge on everyone who's laid waste to your kingdom and your people. Etrigan the Terrible whispered in King James' ear. The king beheld this army, the desire gleaming in his eyes. He knew that Etrigan was right. He knew that with this army he would be unstoppable. He could launch attacks on them all and dispatch them easily. But then he regained control of his lust by closing his eyes so he could not see them. And all these for what I return? He questioned Etrigan with his eyes shut. For something so little that I'm practically giving this away, Etrigan said and paused, letting it sink in. Which is? King James asked, his eyes still closed. The soul of the princess, Amanda, Etrigan declared. My only daughter? But why? She just turned 12. What has she got to do with this? King James asked, turning to face the demon. A single life for the countless you shall take with this army? Etrigan replied, walking to stand before the soldiers to draw the king's attention to them. A small price to pay for salvation, don't you think? He asked King James, smiling evilly. I knew it. You demons and your devious demands. I will never give you my daughter's soul. Now, get behind me, you demon. Etrigan nodded and began to retreat as he did so, speaking in a great voice. When you need me, step out into the great darkness and call out my name. There shall I appear. I doubt your kingdom can withstand any further battles. And with that, he was gone. King James clutched his hand on his chest, breathing deeply as he rushed back into the palace. Any problem, sire? One of the few palace servants left asked, upon seeing the fright displayed on King James' face. Did you not hear anything in the courtyard? Just now? He asked. Oh no, sure. Did something happen? The servant replied, concerned. Never mind, King James sighed. going up the stairs to the royal chambers. Perhaps it was just his imagination playing with him, he wondered, as he pushed open the doors to the royal chambers and walked in. Queen Jessica, his wife, was already asleep, and so was his daughter, Princess Amanda, whom they had moved back into their chamber, because her mom was scared to let her sleep alone in her chamber due to the current situation. With a deep sigh that showed his worries, the king undressed and went to bed. That night, while sleeping, he got a revelation from the gods in his dreams. His old friend, King Daniel of the neighboring Osh kingdom, was planning a surprise attack on him. King James woke up immediately, sitting up with his eyes wide in fear, and his sudden action woke his wife, Queen Jessica. "What's the problem, James? Did you have another dream?" she asked, sitting up next to him. "No, my love, it's nothing," he replied, forcing a smile so that she didn't get worried. "Are you sure?" she pressed gently, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. "Yes, my love. Now go back to bed," he replied, planting a gentle kiss on her right cheek. King James didn't sleep a wink again till morning, and even at breakfast, he couldn't bring himself to eat anything. He could no longer hide it from his wife, who pressed continuously, asking what the problem was. "I'm just worried about the current state of the kingdom," he finally replied. "If something is not done, the legacy of my father, and his father before him, may soon be brought to an end," he replied, telling her a white lie to calm her worries. "May the gods forbid that," she replied and leaned in, reducing her voice so that their daughter, who was sitting next to her, could not hear her words. "But besides that, you, as the king of this kingdom, have to do something quickly to help the situation, to show your people that they have a king, or else they may start to plot against you," she said wisely, and King James knew that she spoke the truth. Even though she knew nothing about the plans of the Osh kingdom, she was indirectly warning him of the need to do something about it. King James knew that he didn't just need to do something about it, but he seriously needed this win. Not only did he need this win to prevent an attack, but he knew that his kingdom may not ever recover if the attack on his kingdom wasn't thwarted, and he also needed to prove to Etrigan the Terrible that he did not need his help to win. Also, like his wife said, if he just stood by once again, the next battle he would face may be from his own people. But the betrayal of King Daniel still stung, nonetheless. As princes, they were almost inseparable, and although he knew that even as a prince, King Daniel said and did some things that were mischievous and even downright wicked at times, but he didn't expect this from him. At once he got up and kissed his wife, thanking her for her continuous love and support, then kissed his daughter, who giggled at his touch, and then left the dining hall in a hurry, confusing the queen. "Where is Daddy leaving for in such a hurry, Mummy?" Princess Amanda asked sweetly. "To sort some things. Don't worry about it," her mother replied, caressing her face. Oh, how she loved this girl, she thought to herself as she smiled at her. Nothing could ever separate them, she swore silently. Meanwhile, King James immediately went and summoned the royal advisors, as well as the leaders of his military, to the war room to strategize on how they would combat the incoming attack. The men were all surprised to see the king, and in full military regalia again, and planning battle tactics with them, and this gave them the hope and the morale that things would be different. "Welcome once again to the war room, Your Highness." The commander-in-chief of the troops greeted King James with a firm salute. He too was in full military regalia, and his helmet he held under his other arm. "It is a pleasure to be here," King James replied, then turned to address his soldiers. "As you have all heard, I summoned you, because the gods have revealed to me that the people of Osh Kingdom are planning to attack us. Now, I have a war plan to win us this battle, but we're going to need as many men as we can recruit for it to work." "We shall recruit more men then," the commander assured. "What plan do you have in mind?" "Look here," the king said, pointing at the map. Then he detailed the plans to them. The men were happy and confident because it was a good plan, and also because the king was actively participating in the battle preparations this time. And the word spread across the kingdom, spreading hope, joy, and belief amongst the populace. Once again, they had a king who would fight for and protect them. This time, when the royal entourage rode past on its way back to the royal palace, they were met with cheers and not jeers, and King James was glad that he decided to take action. However, one person was not happy with King James, and that was his wife, Queen Jessica, because of something that happened earlier that day. It was a long while after King James had left. She and her daughter were taking a walk around the royal grounds, and she noticed a smile on everyone's faces. Not that she wanted them to be sad, but it was as if there was something in particular, spreading joy, and simply out of curiosity, she was wondering what that was. This is the first time I've seen so many people happy on one of these walks, the princess admitted to her mother when they got back to the palace. She just smiled at her daughter, but seeing as the little girl shared a similar sentiment with her, the queen was compelled to ask what was going on. "Go in, I'll be with you soon," she said to her daughter, and watched as the little girl obeyed. Then she called one of her palace maidens and asked her, "I noticed that everyone seems so happy today. Did something happen?" "Oh, I'm sure you know why, Your Highness. It's your husband, the king," the maiden responded. "Ah." The queen nodded, feeling awkward. The king had not told her anything. "What exactly did he do?" she asked. "He is working on battle preparations with the soldiers for the battle against the Osh kingdom in 3 days' time." "Ah," the queen replied again, nodding. So her husband had in fact gotten a revelation last night, she thought to herself. "Anything else, my queen?" the maiden asked gently, feeling a little awkward too that she was the one revealing these things to the queen. Just to be sure, she asked the maiden another question. "How did we find out that the Osh kingdom wants to attack us?" she asked. The maiden hesitated, unsure if she should speak. "I'm waiting," the queen reminded her gently. Well, the king said he had one of his visions," she said quietly. "Ah," the queen nodded. Okay, she repeated, breathing deeply. "You may leave." "Good day, my queen," the maiden replied and scurried away, while the queen stormed back into the palace and went straight to the royal chambers angrily. She knew what to do. When King James returned to the palace, his daughter ran out to meet him. "Father," she yelled as she embraced him. "Mom, and I found everyone so happy on our visit. I think they've forgiven us." "Yes, they have, my princess," he replied, kissing her forehead. "And where's your mother?" he asked. "In the royal chamber," the little girl replied gently. "All right, I'll go see her now," King James said and went in. He got to the royal chambers, beaming, and eager to tell his wife of the change in attitude of their people towards him, but found her packing his things into a large box. "My love, what are you doing?" he asked, confused. "What you told me to do," she replied, throwing his royal robes into the box. "Me?" he asked, confused. "But I did not ask you to do anything concerning my things." "Oh, so you have forgotten?" she asked, gathering more things and dumping them into the box. King James had to move to her and take her into his arms before she would empty the room of his things entirely. "My love, what is the problem? What did I do?" he asked gently. "No, my love, it's nothing," she replied quickly. The statement was vaguely familiar to King James, and he tried to recall where he had heard it. Then it came to him. This was the same statement he had made when she asked if he had just had a nightmare. He immediately understood the problem and chuckled slightly at the drama queen his wife was. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the attack," he said. "Who is laughing with you?" she asked, freeing herself of him and immediately grabbing a pair of his shoes. But he got hold of her again before she could dump it in the box. "My love, I'm sorry. I know I should have told you about that first," he apologized. "Oh, so you know," the queen replied. "You know you have a wife here, and yet she's finding out such a delicate matter from a palace maiden," she said angrily, freeing herself from him and dropping the shoes in the box too. But King James rushed and pulled her to him again before she could grab another set. "My love, I'm sorry that," he apologized, but she cut him short. "You can't imagine how embarrassed I felt to find out that you had a revelation from a palace maiden," she confessed. "Leave me alone." She tried to free herself again, but he held on, planting small kisses on her neck, knowing it was her weakness. "I'm sorry, my love," he repeated, pleading. "I won't do it again. But isn't this a bit of overreacting? You're packing my things," he chuckled. "Where am I supposed to take them to?" he asked playfully. "To the same people you decided are more important than your queen." "But did you just say I'm overreacting?" she asked, and spun to face him, arching an eyebrow. "Of course not, my queen. I would never," he swore. "Good for you," she replied. "Do you forgive me now?" he asked, gently kissing her neck. "Of course not," Queen Jessica scoffed, pushing him away. "You think it's that easy? Who knows what else you're not telling me?" King James opened his mouth to assure her that there wasn't, but then he remembered the demon, Etrigan the Terrible. The queen immediately took note of his hesitation to reply. "Out with it, James, or you'll be sleeping in that war room tonight," she said, pointing at him. He breathed deeply and sat on their bed. "Last night I was visited by a demon," he confessed. The queen gasped. "James, you were visited by a demon? And you're just telling me now? Who am I to you? You're seeing another woman, aren't you? Because why don't you tell me things anymore?" she asked, crying. "You don't love me anymore, James, you don't," she accused, pointing at him. "Ah, don't speak like that, my queen," King James replied, moving to her quickly. "But it's true," she replied, pushing him away. "Who is she? Tell me now," she insisted. "But there's no one, my love. If I didn't tell you, it's because I didn't want you to start worrying about these things. I love you with all my heart, and the only other is our daughter," he said, trying to convince her. "Well, it doesn't seem like it," the queen replied, moving away. "I'm truly sorry for doing this, my love, and I promise to never do anything to make you doubt my love for you again," King James assured, kissing her neck from behind. Queen Jessica blushed uncontrollably, but didn't want to let the king off so easily. "Stop trying to bribe me with these kisses," she said, moving away. But the king pulled her back to him and kissed her again. Then she finally let him see her smile again, as he hugged her from behind. "I come before everyone, and everything in your life, even your shadow. You know that, don't you?" she asked, leaning against him and turning her neck to look in his eyes. "Of course," King James assured her and leaned down for a light kiss. "Now, what did the Etrigan demon want?" she asked, rolling her eyes. King James asked, pretending not to hear her. He wasn't sure that bringing up his discussion with Etrigan was a good idea at the moment. After all, he'd spent so much time trying to calm her simply because he didn't tell her about his dream. Imagine telling her that a demon wanted her only daughter, whom they had even suffered 8 long years to get. "My love, I asked you a question," the queen pressed eagerly. "It doesn't matter," he replied, trying to dissuade her. "Are you going to tell me or not, James?" she asked, her tone changing. The king exhaled resignedly and gave in to the queen's question. "He offered me a great army, as far as my eyes could see, and more powerful than I have ever seen." "Oh my, that's exactly what we need right now," she trailed off. "But what did he want in return? Half the kingdom? Some virgin maidens? What?" she joked. "The soul of our only daughter, Amanda," King James admitted. "What?" The queen spun to face him. "This is why I didn't want to tell you this one," King James confessed. "My only daughter is not the one you're going to use and do rituals, James," the queen declared, palming her chest. "Don't forget that she's my daughter too," King James replied. "With the way you've been behaving recently, I don't know what to expect. So I'm just reminding you that it took me 8 good years to get my daughter before you start having useless thoughts. For your information, I sent him packing after he made that request. I'll die if I lose you or my daughter," he swore. The queen started blushing uncontrollably again, and she let him take her in his arms and kiss her. "No more secrets?" she asked. "No more," he assured her, and then she left him. "Time for dinner," she said lazily as she walked to the doors. "Won't you help me put these things in order?" he asked. "That's your punishment for keeping secrets between us. Make sure my chamber is in order by the time I return." "Oh, so it's your chamber now?" he asked, chuckling. "If you behave, I'll let you stay the night," she replied, and blew him a kiss before leaving. King James just shook his head and got to work, putting everything back in its place, after which he went to have dinner with his family and then went to bed. The next day, they were to practice the tactic they intended to employ against the Osh kingdom, and King James could not wait for it. When tomorrow came, the practice was harder than anyone expected, because it had been a while since the men had any military training. King James, for one, did not find the training funny. Everything was so difficult, and that day they sparred in sword fights. The king lost all his fights, even with the queen and princess cheering him on. But in spite of these, the people were glad that at least the king was involved this time. And on their way back in the royal entourage, the people cheered the royal family on, and all of King James' misdeeds seemed to be distant memories. When they got back home and into the royal chamber, mother and daughter teamed up against the king to make fun of all his losses during the training, while the king watched with a lowered head. The next day was better for both the king and his men. Perhaps it was the desire to be better. On his part, the king won 3 of his sparring battles, and the formation was working perfectly. They even set up some defensive systems. For the first time in a long time, the Agba kingdom was ready for war. D-Day finally arrived. Queen Jessica helped her husband dress up for the war while the princess sat on their bed watching. As the queen put his armor together, they talked a bit, and she assured him that he would win. "Do it for me and our daughter," she said. "I will," the king promised and kissed her, then kissed the princess on her forehead and left to join the rest of his men. "Mummy, why do we have to go to war?" the princess asked. "Won't people die?" "We only go to war to protect our peace," her mother replied calmly. "Now, come with me. Let's go and watch the war procession." The entire kingdom came out to watch the king and his men leave for the war on their horses, and they cheered them on, wishing them victory. King James met with the commander on horseback at the outskirts of the kingdom. "Are your men ready?" he asked. "We are waiting on your word, sire," he replied. The king nodded. "Give the word," he said. Then the commander saluted him and rode ahead. "Places, everyone. Remember your practice. Today we fight with everything, and we shall win. Hiya!" He kicked his horse and galloped away with his men following. As King James foretold, King Daniel of the Osh kingdom came riding to the gates of the Agba kingdom, with his army in tow, while King James and his men watched from within the walls of the kingdom. As they neared, some of his men's horses stepped on landmines and got blown up, and the soldiers of Agba kingdom rejoiced in low tones with their king, sending the rest into red alert. No one said anything about mines. King Daniel wondered, leading his men forward carefully. But another man set off another trap, and arrows came raining down on them, killing more of them. The few with shields protected themselves and the king, and then he sent one of them to get reinforcements. That soldier turned and rode away very quickly, while the rest continued. Then King James came out on his own horse to meet him. "Ah, mighty King James!" King Daniel called out in a loud voice. "I was told not to expect to see your face today," he said. "Well, here I am. And if you turn back and leave right now, I will spare your lives and pretend like this never happened." King James replied, "You talk big game. For a coward?" King Daniel jeered, and his men laughed. "I'm sorry, old friend, but we all know you do not have the military strength to stop me. This gimmick you pulled with the mines and the arrows were smart, and they caught us off guard. But I am sure they're only meant to scare us off. However, we are not weak cowards like you. We don't run away at the slightest sign of danger. How dare you attack my kingdom? And recall our friendship, Daniel. It's nothing personal, James. Your kingdom has a lot of resources just there for the taking. Everyone else has had a bite except me. So I thought, why not go have a taste before the others start coming for seconds? Besides, my loyalty to a failed king like you has brought me nothing but insults and scorn. I warned you, Daniel. Whatever you see from here onwards, you brought upon yourself," King James said, pulling out his sword. King Daniel pulled out his own sword and leaned forward on his horse. "Let it be so, old friend," he sneered. "Attack!" King James yelled thunderously, raising his sword, and like a massive wave, his men galloped on from behind him, rushing past him to clash with those of the Osh kingdom. King Daniel was surprised. He didn't expect a substantial military action from the Agba kingdom, and this was even more than substantial. But he was not backing down. That would be a huge stain on his reputation, and even place him on the target lists of other kingdoms. "Attack!" he too yelled, and his men galloped past him to clash with the incoming forces of the Agba kingdom. The two kings joined the fray last, and fought with all of their might. As the war progressed, more men fell on either side, and in the midst of battle around them, the two kings met again, still on their horses. "You put up a good fight, brother. But victory is mine, James," King Daniel jeered. "Scum of the earth like you have no right to make use of that word, Daniel," King James replied. But King Daniel was right. Despite their best efforts, the men of the Osh kingdom were simply more in number, and they were winning. Then King James gave the signal, a loud whistle. Then an archer hidden within the walls of the kingdom released a flaming arrow, high into the sky. Then they heard a loud war cry from ahead of them, and the commander came galloping with the rest of the troops, ambushing the men of the Osh kingdom from behind. The plan was executed perfectly, and the men of the Osh kingdom were completely surrounded. It was like fighting a battle on two sides. "Speak now, Daniel," King James yelled, fighting with a renewed vigor. King Daniel was dumbfounded. He never could have expected such a legendary military maneuver like the two-faced battle from his old friend, King James, and the men of the Agba kingdom. They pressed against him, and his men from both sides, overwhelming and slaying them. The look of fear in King Daniel's eyes contrasted with the look of victory in King James' own eyes, and King Daniel deeply regretted underestimating the military strength of the Agba kingdom, because he knew that they were fighting him with everything while he was not even at half strength of his military might. Still, he knew that no one would listen to that part of the story when the news of his losses spread. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, and the Agba kingdom was about to take the win. A loud battle cry sounded further away than the previous one. The soldier he had sent to get reinforcements was returning on his horse at full speed, a large number of men coming behind him. "Oh no," King James muttered, looking up at the incoming forces. King Daniel threw his head back and began to laugh maniacally. "Seems like I shall have the final say after all," he sneered. King James did not even attempt to come up with a reply. He was too busy facing the soldiers that now surrounded him and his men. They fought and fought, but the men of the Osh kingdom were just more than them. So in spite of their best efforts, they were on the losing side. And soon enough, they were completely overpowered. King James' horse reared in fright of the surrounding enemy soldiers, threw him off and galloped away, and the king lay there finished, bleeding, helplessly watching the men of the Osh kingdom gallop through the gates of the Agba kingdom, grabbing everything of value in sight. King Daniel went straight to the palace in search of something he had always lusted after, even as a friend to King James. The Agba Spectre, a rod of pure gold with the largest encrusted diamond in all the land. It, along with the royal crown and ring and throne, were the main symbols of authority in the Agba kingdom, passed down from generation to generation. The entire kingdom was thrown into chaos as the enemies rode through, grabbing whatever it was that was of value to them, be it women or foodstuff or resources or even young daughters. Women were wailing while their kids were bawling. Most of their husbands, sons, and brothers were lying dead outside of the kingdom's gates, and those that weren't were badly injured. It was horrible. The queen had grabbed her daughter and was in the throne room with a few palace guards when King Daniel arrived with his men, seeking the Agba Spectre. "You despicable bastard!" she yelled at King Daniel as he stepped in with his men. "Jessica!" he smiled. "My queen!" He greeted her with a mock bow, approaching. "You look beautiful as always. Such a pity you chose the wrong prince. But you can still change your mind and come with me right now," he said, approaching. But the palace guards stood in his way, and Queen Jessica spat at him from behind them. "I would never ever choose you, even if you were the last man on earth. Instead, I would become a nun. Besides, I made the right choice. My husband is twice the man you are." "You mean the coward, lying half dead in front of his own gates?" King Daniel sneered. "Oh please, suit yourself anyway. I'm not here for you." "Then what do you want?" she asked, hiding the little princess behind her. "Not her either," he laughed scornfully. "She probably has her father's genes." "Whatever you say," Queen Jessica replied, rolling her eyes. "Hand me the Agba Spectre and I will spare your lives," King Daniel declared. Queen Jessica scoffed. "Unfortunately, the Agba Spectre is meant for kings only." King Daniel chuckled drily. "A tongue as sharp as yours would make a weapon fit, only for kings as well. Yet you stand by a disgraceful coward," he said. "The only thing I blame James for is not realizing what scum of the earth you are." The queen shot back, and King Daniel irritatedly pulled out his sword. "Enough with your wisecracks," he swore. "Hand me the Agba Spectre or else," he threatened, stepping forward. "Guards!" Queen Jessica yelled, backing away. They too pulled out their weapons, but they were no match for the bloodthirsty King Daniel and his men. They clashed and tasted his steel just like the other men of the kingdom. And now the queen was left on her own with her daughter. King Daniel grabbed her arm. "Speak now," he laughed evilly. "I'm not scared of you," Queen Jessica shot back. "That's none of my concern," King Daniel jeered. "Where is the Agba specter?" he asked once more. "No matter what you do to me, I will never tell you," she spat in his face. He looked at her closely and shrugged, then pushed her into the arms of his men and grabbed her daughter. "Mummy!" the little princess yelled. "The Agba specter is in the royal chamber," the queen yelled unconsciously. "Get your hands off my daughter." She struggled against the men, but they were too strong for her. "I like how chatty she makes you," King Daniel sneered. "Perhaps I should take her too," he said softly, with a childlike mischievous glint in his eyes. "Please," the queen begged, crying and struggling against her captors. "Please don't do this to me, Daniel. You know how long it took me to get her. 8 whole years, in case you've forgotten. Please, I will give you anything else. But just let her go. First lead me to the Agba specter," he said, laughing at how pliable the queen had become. The queen struggled against the men, and King Daniel gave them a signal to let go of her. And they did. He knew that as long as he was holding the princess captive, Queen Jessica would do anything he asked of her. "Follow me," the queen said, and led him upstairs to the royal chamber. King Daniel's eyes scanned the room as he followed Queen Jessica. She walked straight to a large cabinet and opened it, then retrieved the Agba specter. "Here," she said, offering it to him. King Daniel immediately pushed her daughter to her and took the Agba specter from her. Then he held it in his hands, like it was his life's greatest treasure, and began to laugh maniacally, while Queen Jessica hugged her daughter to herself, fretting. "Are you okay? Did he hurt you?" she asked. The girl shook her head in tears. "Is Daddy dead?" she asked. Queen Jessica hesitated, and King Daniel intervened. "Come with me, and I will take you to where your father is lying," he said, reaching for her. "Haven't you gotten what you came here for? Leave." Queen Jessica fired at him, pulling her daughter behind her. She would die before they took her daughter from her again, she swore within. King Daniel laughed at her desperation and turned to his men. "We're done here," he said. "Let's be on our way." Walking to the door, immediately they stepped out. The queen closed the doors and barred them. Then she embraced her daughter and broke down in tears. Mother and daughter cried out their hearts together. King Daniel stepped out of the palace armed with the Agba specter. He mounted his horse alongside his men and joined the others who had raided the kingdom with caravans that were now filled with resources, foodstuffs, and even women. The people of Agba Kingdom watched weakly as King Daniel and his men rode through the streets of the kingdom, with King Daniel raising the Agba specter high for all to see. When he arrived at the kingdom gates, he found King James sitting against one of them, bloody and injured, but still alive. "James, boy, Queen Jessica sends her regards," he said, waving the Agba specter in his old friend's face. King James' eyes widened at the sight of the Agba specter in King Daniel's hand, and he shook his head vigorously, struggling to speak, while King Daniel laughed at him. "Do I end his misery?" one of King Daniel's men asked him. "Where's the fun in that?" King Daniel asked the man. "He has to look around and realize what a failure he turned out to be. Let that sink in and kill him slowly." King James struggled to get up and grabbed the Agba specter, trying to pull it from King Daniel's grasp. But King Daniel pulled out his sword and struck King James' head with the hilt, knocking him out. As he dropped to the ground, King James could faintly hear the laughter of King Daniel and his men. Then he and his men galloped away. When King James woke up again, He was being carried into the kingdom on a makeshift stretcher. His head hurt terribly, but at least he had feeling there. The rest of his body was numb. He and the rest of the badly injured survivors were being carried to the kingdom's health center. He could hear the cries of his people. He could see smoke from some buildings, and the tears fell from his own eyes as well. The words of King Daniel stuck with him. He has to look around and realize what a failure he turned out to be. Let that sink in and kill him slowly. And he cried bitterly. Then those carrying him realized he was still alive. Send word to the queen. One of them told someone he could not see. Tell her that the king is alive. But within him, King James was wishing that he was anything but alive. When they dropped him off at the kingdom's health center, the women immediately attended to him first, despite his efforts to tell them to focus on others. Soon afterwards, his wife, Queen Jessica, and their daughter, Princess Amanda, arrived at the health center, their eyes red and puffy from crying. When they saw King James, they practically flew to him. Their floodgates opened again, and they cried bitterly. On his side, King James struggled to find the courage to even look them in the eyes, and silent tears slipped out of the corners of his eyes. I was so scared, Daddy, Princess Amanda admitted. I thought you had died. I didn't, my love, he replied, kissing her hand. He turned to look at her mother. Why did you give the Agba specter to Daniel? He asked angrily. Calm down, my love. You're not in a good position to stress over such things. But if you must know, he was going to kill your daughter. I didn't even know when I told him where it was. King James was livid with rage. Since its inception, the Agba specter had never crossed the four walls of the kingdom. Until now. I'm going to kill you, Daniel, he swore, shutting his eyes tightly to try and stop the tears. I'm here, my love, Queen Jessica replied, kissing him. Let it all out. Then his body rocked with the sobs as he submitted to his sorrows. Took a while, but the health center eventually discharged the king and the remaining men who had survived the war. Unfortunately, the commander was not one of them. While the king had spent a lot of time thinking, the queen had been the one in charge of the kingdom's affairs until then, and she wasn't finding it funny. Once again, the people were clamoring for King James to relinquish the throne. They all claimed that his time on it had only brought bad luck and misfortune upon them. After his discharge, while on his way to the palace, accompanied by the queen and the princess, as well as a handful of maidens and guards, the people were back to their jeers, throwing insults in King James' face. At one point, the young princess could not take it anymore, so she fired back at the accusers. Did you not see him fight alongside his men? Is he not just being discharged from the health center? Why are you all being so insensitive? The princess asked in a loud voice, startling the people. It's fine, my daughter, that's enough, the queen advised her, pulling her close. Soon enough, they got to the palace, and then the queen left her considerations at the door. How can people be so wicked and so quick to forget the good done to them? She asked, collapsing on the bed. King James silently walked to the cabinet and touched it, looking at the empty holder for the Agba specter. Then he sighed and began to undress. But he soon winced in pain, and his wife came to give him a hand. You've been too quiet, she noted. What's on your mind? She asked, concerned. He sighed. Perhaps they're right? I mean, look at this kingdom. Ever since my father passed down the throne to me, it's been one misfortune after the other. Don't even say that as a joke, his wife warned. But isn't it true? King James asked. What they're saying will only be true if you do not figure a way out of this situation," she corrected and left the chamber. King James exhaled deeply. She was right. She was always right. He needed to fix things, and quickly. When night had fallen, and the palace was asleep, King James had another one of his dreams. This time, he saw his own people hatching a plan to kill his entire family and end his bloodline. He woke up with a gasp and sat there, rubbing his eyes, careful not to wake his wife. He had to do something immediately, and there was only one option left for him. So he went and gave his daughter one last forehead kiss. "I'm sorry," he whispered, and wiped his eyes as he left. The princess opened her eyes after he had left, and breathed deeply. A single tear escaped her eyes, and she shut them. Then King James went outside, and deep into the palace gardens, and summoned Etrigan the Terrible. He shouted in the palace gardens with a secretive voice, "Etrigan, Etrigan, Etrigan!" And immediately in that moment the demon appeared before him and started talking. "You called, my king," the demon replied, as he materialized from the shadows. "I need your army," King James admitted. "You know my price?" Etrigan replied, rubbing his hands together while smiling like the devil himself. "What if I give you half, or even more, of everything I will ever own? I have no need for any of that. I only require a one-time payment of your daughter's soul, and the greatest army one can imagine would be yours," Etrigan replied smoothly. King James sighed resignedly. "Where do I sign?" he asked. The demon snapped his fingers, and suddenly there was a scroll, and a quill set on a table before him. "Here," the demon pointed, and the king obliged. Suddenly, there were soldiers materializing all over the kingdom. "As per your request, they look humane, but in battle they are anything but." Even at the palace, guards materialized, but most were asleep to see them. "And my daughter?" the king asked. "A worthy sacrifice," the demon replied, and was gone. The king rushed back to the palace, and was greeted by some of the guards. He spared them a curt nod, rushing up to the royal chamber. He was glad to find his daughter in her bed, and still breathing, but he didn't check anything else about her, before slipping back into bed with his wife, a smile on his face. The next day he was going to attack the Osh kingdom with everything. They wouldn't see what was coming for them, he thought to himself, and he planned to completely destroy their kingdom. However, that morning he woke up to another worry. "James!" Queen Jessica was yelling, shaking him vigorously. "Yeah?" he asked, confused and sleepy. "What did you do to my daughter, James?" the queen repeated desperately. "I don't understand," King James replied, and the queen landed a hot slap across his left cheek. "Don't even dare try to play dumb with me. All over the kingdom, soldiers have suddenly appeared, and are helping rebuild the kingdom on your orders. And my daughter, James, my daughter's skin is white as snow. There's a symbol on her forehead, and she's not waking up. So tell me now, what did you do to my daughter?" "I sold her soul to Etrigan," he confessed resignedly. "Ah!" Queen Jessica exclaimed, clutching her head. "No, you're lying, James," she said, clutching the lapels of his robe. "Wait, my love. You're choking me. Let me dash. Don't you dare call me your love in your life again. Why won't I choke you? Tell me you're lying, James," she pressed. It took all of his strength to get up with her on him like that, and she resorted to pounding her hands against his chest, crying. "How could you, James? You know how I suffered. How could you?" she said in tears. "I had no choice. My love dash, King James stoically responded to her. She slapped him again, cutting him short. Yes, you had another choice. My daughter didn't have to become a sacrifice for you. How dare you say you love me, James? She asked, beating against his chest. Put yourself in my shoes, my Jessica, he said. If I did, she replied, I would remember promising my wife that I'd rather die than lose her and her daughter, because you, James, have forgotten that promise. She was wailing at this point. Just leave me alone, she yelled, getting off him. Everyone warned me, but I refused to listen, and of all the princes I chose you. Oh, how I wish now that I had listened to them. How I wish that I never met you, James, she declared, moving to pack her things. Where are you going? He asked. Far away from you, and I'm taking my daughter with me, and I will cure her of this curse you have laid upon her. Don't you dare come looking for us, because then you would see the side of me I only show to your enemies. Goodbye, Queen Jessica said as she rushed out of his presence. But just then a knock came at the door. It was one of the new soldiers, and he came with good news. Sir, we are ready to launch the attack on the Osh Kingdom. All we await now is your place at the forefront of the army, he announced. King James looked from him to his wife. Go, she yelled at him. It won't be the first time you put everyone else first, she said. And so, with a determined face and a renewed vigor, King James hurried down the palace with his soldiers and mounted his horse. Before he commanded them to charge, he yelled, Great soldiers of the day and great soldiers of the night. And the soldiers all responded, in a resounding manner, Hiya! King James then continued talking. Today we take what was taken from us, our glory, our honor. Not too long ago, men of the Osh Kingdom robbed those things from us and spat in faces by stealing our beloved Agba specter. Those animals. Today is the day we make them pay. And then the soldiers all responded immediately. Hiya! King James then continued. Today we pay them back with dust and blood. He then asked in a loud tone, What do we always say? And then the non-demon soldiers responded, The sword of the Agbas always repays blood with blood. Say it again louder, King James demanded. The sword of the Agbas always repays blood with blood. They screamed even louder. Then King James then turned to demon soldiers and yelled, Soldiers of the night. And then he was replied with a loud, resounding demonic groan, like that of a lion mixed with an elephant. He admonished them, You are not of Agba, but today you fight and die for Agba. Your only target and goal is to bring me King Daniel's head. Burn their villages and abuse their women. But none of it would matter if I didn't see King Daniel's head on a spike. The demon soldiers then groaned in a louder voice in agreement with King James. King James then charged them. You were bought at a high price. Make sure the debt is completed and paid. In blood. Men charge. And then all the soldiers on their horses yelled in a resounding tone as they charged outside the kingdom's gates as headed straight for Osh to attack. Meanwhile, Queen Jessica was also embarking on a journey of her own. As she had seen that King James had left, she immediately placed Geoffrey, the king's hand and protector of the realm's gates, as interim king as she left the palace on a mission to save her daughter's soul. She took 3 of her most trusted palace guards and 2 of her most beloved royal maidens as escort as she embarked on a journey to Estrus. There lived her stepmother, Joan of Achille, and a person legends say has journeyed to the realm of demons, and someone Queen Jessica believed could help save her daughter's soul. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story and wish to see a part 2, Share this story with your friends and leave the lessons you've learned from the story so far in the comments. And if this video gets 1,000 comments, I'll make a part 2. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you'll be the first to be notified when the next episode drops. Have a lovely day.